This is Viterbi Voices.
Coming to you from the University of Southern California, Viterbi School of Engineering.
We're here to give you the inside scoop about research, classes, student life, and so much more.
All of these shared from our students, faculty, and other members of our USC community.
Well, hello everybody, and welcome back into another episode of Viterbi Voices. As usual, I am one of your co-hosts. My name is Paul Ledesma, Executive Director of Undergraduate Admission here at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And hi everyone, my name is Emily Paust, and I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering.
And we have another great one of our Viterbi students joining us. Please introduce yourself, Cameron.
Hi everyone, my name is Cameron. I'm a junior studying computer science and business from Chicago, Illinois.
And Cameron, you bring to us one of our recent live chats. That's correct?
Yes, this recent live chat is all about Black students here at the Viterbi School of Engineering.
And tell us a little bit about what people should be listening for and what this was. This is a live event that was hosted and students were able to join in and ask questions, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're listening to this, really just take a look and, really listen to our experiences. It's really about how we felt the environment at USC was welcoming, the resources that we used to really help us navigate our engineering careers and engineering interests, and just really feel at home, and like USC was actually the place for us.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for hosting this live chat. And thanks for bringing us the recording. Let's get out of the way so everyone can listen to it, and we'll check in with you all on the other side of the recording.
I want to officially welcome everyone to the Black Students in Engineering live chat. First and foremost, I want to thank our lovely panelists for being here tonight. For us, we are coming towards the end of the semester, and when you're in college, that typically means that you are full steam ahead. You're just racing to the end. We are just trying to finish. It's a Sunday night. People could be doing a lot of things. So I really want to thank our panelists for joining us this evening. This live chat is, as you guessed, is about the Black experience here at USC Viterbi. It's brought to you by us, real life engineering students. And so we're going to be here answering your questions and giving our full, genuine experience of what it's like to be an engineer and be a Black engineer here at USC Viterbi. So just going over the agenda for tonight, first and foremost, we'll start out by meeting our panelists and learning a little bit more about who exactly is answering the questions tonight. Then we'll get into the main event, which is you guys asking us questions. So you guys will be able to submit your questions live and be able to answer and hear our thoughts on what you guys have in order to learn about the experience. Afterwards, we'll give you guys a couple of resources about the experience here at USC Viterbi and learning what it's like to be a Black Viterbi student. And then we'll take a look at how you can stay connected with the Viterbi admissions office and how to stay connected with us Viterbi students as the application process continues and just in general. So to kick things off, my name is Cameron. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm your hostess for this evening. I am a junior studying computer science and business administration, originally from the great city of Chicago, Illinois. On campus, I'm involved in USC's National Society of Black Engineers chapter, where previously I've been on their e-board as the executive assistant of the organization. I'm also a member of our Global Investing Society, where I learned the fundamentals of stocks and options trading. I was also a member of our Formula SAE race car design team, where I was on the chassis sub-team. I helped build different parts and components in CAD, computer-aided design for them. I am also a coach for Viterbi's Engineering Freshman Academy, which is an intro to engineering as a broad discipline. And additionally, I've held internships in the past at Chevron as a petroleum engineer and at Microsoft as a Explorer software engineer. And this upcoming summer, I will be returning to Microsoft as a software engineer.
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore majoring in mechanical engineering from Inglewood, California. And on campus, I'm involved in the National Society of Black Engineers, and I'm on the regional executive board. I'm also a part of Viterbi Makers, which is a team-based electronics club on campus, and I conduct I conduct undergraduate research with the haptics robotics lab. I've also interned for Johnson Controls last summer as an artificial intelligence and a global product security intern.
Hello, everyone. My name is Javon. I am a sophomore studying computer science and business administration. That picture on the left is me with a lot shorter hair, but I'm from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And on campus, I'm involved as the treasurer for National Society of Black Engineers, as well as part of the Black Student Assembly, and then Business Technology Group, which is a pro bono consulting club on campus. And in the past, I've interned with NVIDIA, and I'm currently trying to figure out and decide where I will end up this summer.
Hi everyone, my name is Suna and I go by she, her pronouns. I am a sophomore majoring in computer science and business administration. And on campus, I'm also involved in USC's National Society of Black Engineers. I am the telecommunications chair. I'm also a part of the Black Student Union, and I've also done internships in the past. This past summer, I worked at Microsoft as a new technologist, software engineering intern.
Now, guys, we're on to the main event, which is the awesome way for you guys to ask your questions. So if you look down at the bottom toolbar, kind of towards center right, you'll get a chance to see that Q&A button there. You guys can go ahead and type your questions to submission, and we'll get a chance to answer those questions. So I'll let you guys answer those. And while we're doing that, I'll kind of get us started off with the first question for the evening as you guys are typing your questions. So everyone who's kind of, we've been here and we've thought about coming to engineering school from high school. So how did you guys say that you got yourself ready for the engineering experience in high school? Did you do any programs? Were you like any tips and tricks or just ways that you got yourself ready for engineering school?
I can go ahead. I think I was naturally a little bit nervous coming into college, or at least the summer beforehand, in terms of once I picked my classes, being a little worried about, going into calculus, am I going to be prepared for that? And then at least going into computer science courses, how I would feel going into stuff like that. What was a really big help was the Viterbi Summer Institute. And I was a participant in that. And I think most of the panelists were here as well. And it was a few week-long program, online in our case, usually in person. But we took some classes with professors that were currently teaching those courses on campus. Got a little chance to catch up in calculus and programming, and at the same time meet a bunch of great students that were also going to be joining in the next semester. So I think that was really did a great job of kind of healing some of those fears, but also getting a little bit more prepared.
I can talk a little bit about my high school experience. I did Viterbi Summer Institute also, and I can say that's the only preparation I did the summer before college. I did not do anything else academic at all. But during high school, I really just tried to take like as many math and science classes as I could. I took like AP Calculus, AB and BC, and then also I took physics twice, and like because I'm a mechanical engineer, so it's probably a little bit more important for me. And I took like chemistry and biology, but my school didn't really have like any real like robotics teams or other engineering type stuff. So I just tried my best like with what I could do.
I can go ahead as well. In high school, my high school didn't offer a lot of STEM courses and STEM clubs in general. So I tried to do as many summer programs that would help me prepare for college. And so I made sure to do one after freshman, sophomore, junior year of high school. So I think that's definitely something important.
Yeah, I think that as I'm kind of in a similar vein a little bit, I tried to do a good amount of preparation as far as taking math, taking science. I took Calc AB. My school didn't offer BC, so I just took the hardest. And like we didn't offer like Physics C. I just took Physics 1. So just kind of taking the classes that I could. The funny thing about me is I came into Viterbi as a mechanical engineering student, and I switched to computer science. So I essentially had no coding experience. I did robotics, and I used to hate coding, in fact. So I really didn't have a lot of good experience with computer science. As I know that's like a good amount of people out there. And I feel like even without that like experience of having that coding background or really knowing, beyond like what a statement was and what a Boolean is and a while loop, I was still able to get my feet in and still be able to be successful in the field. So I feel like I had a good amount of preparation, but in the areas where I didn't, I definitely was able to still make it through given what happened, all the resource I had at Viterbi.
I think I can add something else. I think that like specifically I've seen this concern with computer science a lot, but also any of the other engineering fields, like people worry about the amount of experience that you need to come into. Like there are some people that are of course going to come in like, oh, I built, I don't know, a car, or like I built an app or all this stuff. And then there's at the same time people that have not really done anything in the field that they want to go into. Not only in the application process does experience not really matter, but also coming into the school. All the introductory courses in whatever field you choose to go into do a fantastic job of getting everyone on the same page and making sure you have that strong foundation. So experience really isn't that much of a factor, and if there isn't much experience, then you'll soon get into the wave of things.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely nice to know that don't have to have a crazy amount of experience and everything. Another key point that I guess like a lot of students want to know, like, did you experience any culture shock when you first came to USC, given that transition from high school to college? I can at least start talking about a little bit of my experience. I guess I had one that was a little more untraditional. I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and I went to a high school that was predominantly Black. By predominantly, I mean like 93% upwards. So my culture shock was slightly interesting. I'd been to programs and like seen environments where Black people and other people of color were minorities, so I had kind of been adjusted to it. I'd say that the shock was there, since it wasn't as though I could like leave those environments, just go back to a standard all Black environment. That was the daily life. But I do think that having the community and the support systems really helped me kind of get through that in a way.
I think I kind of had positive culture shock. Like I came from, at least the high school that I went to wasn't very diverse, and I feel like it'd be less than USC. So when I came here, and like seeing how strong the Black community was, and like how everyone was ready to help each other and I don't know, stay connected, that was sort of one of the more positive things that I got. That wasn't really one of the aspects I had in terms of my high school experience. So that's good news.
And I feel the same way. I was gonna say I was surprised by how active the BSA or Black Student Assembly is on campus. They host so many events, and like the turnout is really good. Like everyone shows up to these events. So that was definitely a positive culture shock for me too.
And then for me, I like went to a majority white high school also. So I didn't really experience that culture shock, but it was like kind of hard for me, like pandemic freshman year. It was hard for me just to meet people online when like I knew most of my classmates is like just Black squares with like their names on them. So I think one thing that definitely helped me get adjusted and help the transition through from high school to college with like all new people was joining clubs and like trying to find people who are interested in the same things I'm interested in. I know we'll probably talk about the National Society of Black Engineers, or NSBE, like for a little while tonight, so I'll leave it. But joining NSBE was like a really special community for me just to join when I didn't really know anyone at all. So that's one thing, like a piece of advice I'd give.
Yeah, and actually kind of branching off that idea, someone asked in the chat, I think it's a really good question. I'm gonna kind of broaden it a little bit. They want to know, how could you get involved in Black activity as engineers, as freshmen, but just how do you get involved in like Black activities in general at USC to like really cultivate that atmosphere and collaboration of shared community and experience?
I mean, I think one of the easy answers is just like, as Suna mentioned earlier, BSA is doing stuff all the time, especially towards the beginning of the year, and for like freshmen, for newer students, like we just finished up doing, I think it was called Black Meet Week, where like every day for 1 week it was last week, so homecoming, I think. Every day for the week there was like some new event where you're inspired to meet other people and get connected, and that's with people of all majors and all across the campus. So I would say BSA here does a very good job of getting you acclimated, and getting you to meet everyone that's on campus.
Yeah, in addition, I'd say that with that, so like obviously BSA, obviously NSBE, I think that other organizations I at least would like to shout out are BBB and CIS. So BBB is Brothers Breaking Bread. Bread is an acronym. It's like barriers, like ops, like, or some. It's a lot of different things, but like it includes like, you know, getting over your ego and your intuition. Essentially, it's a great way for Black men to kind of meet and, you know, cultivate that atmosphere of, you know, shared collaborative experience. CIS is like, I believe, Sisters in Solidarity. So they have another good program there, you know, that talks about the experience of being Black women. I think it's like not just women, but it's also like female identifying students as well. And that's a really good program there. Additionally, I think that Greek life is something that is kind of making its way back. I know that we do have 8 of the Divine Nine chapters here at USC. And so that's another good way to get involved is there, since like they hosted our one of our tailgates for homecoming this past weekend, where we actually won our football game, which is really nice. So those are a lot of other good ways to get involved with the Black experience at USC. So
yes, and that's
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Just really quickly, I think one thing I would add onto that, I know I was super nervous last year and then also beginning of this year to like go to events where I didn't know anyone and like I knew there were going to be a whole bunch of other people there. But I would really just encourage you to just go anyway, because like people go to these events to meet people. So like you're not going to be alone in that experience.
Yeah, it's always a good thing as well. Something else I also want to mention is the fact that there's actually a freshman dorm floor that's actually all Black students. It's called Somerville at USC. I don't believe anyone here has lived in Somerville, given just the virtual nature of things for the past year, but it's a really great way to meet and live with other Black students and get that environment right there. It's kind of like a built-in family, if you will. So that's another good way to meet people. And so I think that's like something that's, not necessarily known about all the time, but it's really useful. So kind of pivoting away from this topic and something a little more serious, how have you guys found your resources to be supported in this as a diverse student within Viterbi and USC? Were there any places, resources, or people that really stood out and helped you in your experience and your journey being a Black student engineer?
I haven't taken advantage of this as much as I probably should have, but I know the Center for Engineering Diversity, like the CED office, is a phenomenal resource for all of those concerns and more. I think it functions sort of like a safe space for diverse engineers, and they again are also holding events where you're meeting I guess engineers from all the underrepresented communities, get to know one another, and then again those resources are provided for you. They're the ones that put up VSI or Viterbi Summer Institute, as we mentioned earlier. So they really do a great job of making sure everyone's getting involved and having necessary support systems when those are needed. I'm sure there's other things in CED. I don't know if anyone else wanted to. CED is a big one, though. I think that's like one of that is the main source of support for a lot of engineers.
Definitely. And I think there are things like CED, which is super helpful, and I definitely plug it. But I think also just using your peers and your fellow students as a resource. I know I've found a lot of people who I feel like I can confide in, and who I know will support me just through joining clubs, and that's NESB or just other design team and clubs. So I feel really using your resources and leaning on people just that you meet randomly in the USC community is really helpful.
Yeah, just to add on to that, I feel like a lot of the clubs on campus, including Black Student Assembly, have opportunities for you to sort of have some sort of upperclassman mentor. And so I would definitely encourage you guys to take full advantage of those opportunities.
Oh, yeah, no, these are all great answers. Yeah, I think that we definitely hit on some of the main ways these organizations really support us. Kind of with that support, I guess a topic that I know a lot of people are, blatantly aware of in the times is, as minorities and people, minorities and Black students on campus, there could be situations that arise where obviously culture differences kind of clash. And so have you guys had any experiences with, bad situations or on campus? Did you guys have any reservations about being a Black student in engineering? And if so, how did you kind of resolve your reservations or resolve any of those interesting situations that might have arisen?
I can't say that I've had any bad experiences where I've faced microaggressions or anything, but I can say that I did have reservations coming into engineering as a Black student. I remember when I was doing my research for schools, I would always look up the diversity numbers for the school as a whole, and I'd be ooh, yikes, this is the school as a whole. And then I'm going to the engineering school the engineering school is like 20% women. So, just like thinking about all of that, like trying to figure out, So I think one thing when I was doing research for schools and when I was finally deciding where I wanted to go to school, that was super important to me, was like talking to Black students at the school there already and seeing like what they thought about the Black community there and like how close they were and how many like events they put on. And I found that especially at USC, I think I talked to people here like who were Black engineers, and they like really talked a lot about NESB here and just about how supportive and great that community was. So that made me feel a lot better, even though I knew going in, that the numbers weren't exactly going to be there. And like I might not be like surrounded by a lot of other Black people. I knew that I would have people there to support me, which was important to me.
I don't know. I feel the same way about the reservations. I don't think I've encountered any really negative situations. I guess if I'm really thinking about the stuff that I've experienced, like I've gotten some comments about like, oh, what sport do you play? But I feel like that's I don't know how to really think about that one. Like be outside and say like, oh, you play a sport, things like that. That's happened maybe once. I sort of take it positively. Oh, I look like an athlete, but I still feel comfortable like being an engineer, being a Black engineer on campus, surrounded by other Black engineers, and by the engineering community here. I think does a good job of welcoming everyone. I don't think that there's any problems in the classroom or anything like that. So I don't know, positive experience.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say like for myself, I haven't really had any too crazy experiences. I think that and a lot of times the professors have definitely, if there was anything that particularly happened to go wrong, like they definitely would take my side. I remember one time in a math class, like we were working in a group project, and I did feel a little bit more on the outside because I didn't feel as confident. Like we were working in groups, and I really didn't feel confident taking my answers, and I felt like maybe was I not part of the group. But my professor, without me even asking, really came around and just really like asked things like, hey, are you making sure to involve Cameron in the project or in the assignment and doing the problems? And in fact, I actually got the right answer for the math problem. So, we were able to get the group back on track. And I feel like that wasn't for any particular reason, but I would just say that like, that kind of at least showed me like, oh, even though like the professor didn't have anything to do with the fact that I was a Black student, that at least I saw that the professor was willing to get in and make sure that just a student felt welcome and regardless. And so that kind of gave me at least a good amount of heart, knowing that if something were to happen, if I really had an issue, that more than likely it would be taken seriously and I would be able to get some type of resolution and let that this wouldn't happen to anyone else again. So that really kind of eased any sort of tension or hesitation or possible thoughts about bad things happening here at USC. So kind of taking a turn into a couple different things. I know that we have a wide variety of majors here. We've got some different representations of majors. We've got computer science, mechanical, and a couple others. But just curious, this question actually comes in the chat as well. How did you guys decide on which major you went through? Was there any like deliberation? How did you come to your major that you are today?
I can take this one. Okay, so I knew that I wanted to do something in engineering, and I think USC's computer science and business administration program is really unique. Not a lot of other schools have it, and the reason I chose it was because it's really, I don't know, I feel like it's a good balance of engineering and other courses so that I'm not bored with my major, I guess. So that's why I chose it.
I share the same interest in computer science and business administration. I think part of the reason part of the draw for me for USC was the fact that I could choose that major under Viterbi. Through high school, I was able to take some computer science courses, and over the summers, like in between school years, I did some different like programming courses, small things. I didn't come in with that much experience, but it was enough to gauge or gather a little bit of interest in computer science. But at the same time, I was participating in a lot of business electives or business clubs like DECA and things like that, and I really enjoyed spending, using that part of my brain and spending the time doing things like that. So I wanted a school and a program that would be able to sort of easily allow me to combine those interests. And USC was the only one that really made it a simple kind of process to do so. So that's sort of what drew me to my major. I don't know. I became sure of it once I started to take my introductory classes, and I don't know. There are some doubts that creep in every once in a while when something is hard, but that's more the fact that like engineering is hard, and you, I don't know, started out yourself a little bit, but then you go back to that support system and get reassured.
Yeah, for me, I can say I was not really sure about my major coming in. I just chose mechanical engineering because I was like, you know what, let's do it. I was like really in between like mechanical and electrical. And I think one of the things I did was I just searched up like the course plans for USC to see like what classes I would be taking in either major. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm more excited to take the mechanical engineering classes than the electrical ones. So I chose mechanical engineering. And I think it's worked out so far. I really enjoy it.
Cameron, what do you think? Because how did you become sure of what you're interested in? I know you switched over.
Yeah, for me, I had an interesting path. So I was mechanical engineering, as I said, and I really thought I was going to stay mechanical engineering forever. I was just like, well, I've been building robots, and I CAD, I like do the 3D design. I'm going to be this forever. This makes perfect sense. Then I took a coding class, and I was like, well, coding is kind of cool, and so that's why I am CSBA. But a lot of people don't know I was like this close, like that's like very, very close to being an industrial and systems engineer. And I guess I was really like more of a coin flip. Last time my parents were like, well, you should, computer science is cool, but I was really close to majoring in industrial systems as well, since like I knew I just had a really good interest in like obviously problem solving and math and science, but also like how does that apply to the business side. And I feel like both CSBA, the program right now, as well as industrial engineering are really good like ways of figuring that out, because like computer science and industrial systems, they both actually have the same thing. It's about how do we do something the fastest way, the most optimal way for a business to become profitable. And so I think that even though I did choose computer science business, I feel like I'd probably be just as happy if it was an industrial systems engineering major. So I think that like that's kind of why I started to shift on that path. And beyond that, it was a coin flip. But yeah, I don't know. I still really like ISC, and I may even like do a master's in it or something through our progressive degree program. But yeah, that's at least how I kind of got to where I was.
Good choice, Cameron.
Here,
good choice.
I don't know. I feel like ISC doesn't get enough love. Like I don't know. I kind of like it. It's it's like the renegade there. It's like who's she?
I was interested in ISC like coming into when I was doing my application process, because I don't know, the whole like supply chain and like things like that fit under ISC, but like also kind of computer science and business. So I don't know. I do see the draw.
Yeah, and then like the Center for AI and Society on campus, like a lot of one of their main directors like got her degree in ISC, like works in the ISC department. Like there's like data science people there, like machine learning. Like I don't know, like it's like art, like ISC is kind of like that dark horse, like in the Eastern Conference is gonna take over and win.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like with the major topic, at least, are you guys a part of any like clubs or organizations that have like expanded your like major experience, your engineering experience at USC?
I can talk. I'm in Viterbi Makers, as I said earlier, which is like a team-based electronics club on campus. So like I said in my last one, I was kind of in between like electrical and mechanical. This club is like a lot of electrical engineers. So I was like happy that I could still like do stuff I'm kind of interested in, but still have like a mechanical engineering degree. And Makers is like really fun. You choose a team in the beginning of the year, and you work with them on a project throughout the whole year or semester. I joined last semester, was my first semester, and with my team, we built a pneumatically controlled heat press. So I got to work with them on that, got to do some CAD, and then at the end of the semester, we all got together and like built the actual heat press. So we were like sawing things and like using drills and stuff. So that was fun because that was like my first experience with that. And then this semester, I'm working on a project called Robot Rock. So we're building a robot that drums, and it's really cool because there's like so many different aspects of it. Like there's people doing like audio and signal processing, so like it can hear the music and like mimic the notes and stuff. I have nothing to do with that part of the project, but it's really fun because I get to, work on my skills that I'm learning inside of class, like SolidWorks and CAD, but then also work with things like actuators and design just to figure out the whole project. And it's really cool because it's like all student run. So it's a great opportunity to work with teams. So I really enjoy that club.
When are you guys going to show that off? When do you finish?
We have a showcase in fall, but it's technically like a year-long project. So we'll have another showcase in spring with the same shot.
Cool. For me, I guess the club that this sort of fits this question for me is the business technology group, as I mentioned earlier. That's sort of consulting club, and it's through Marshall, but I think like a majority of the club just happens to be CSBA's, sort of business technology, like it kind of translates right over. But it sort of has opened my eyes to consulting. That's sort of like, I don't know, I feel like is a dark horse in terms of like where engineers sometimes end up. And as a CS student, like a majority of people, their interests sort of lie in software engineering, and that's sort of, I guess, the stereotypical industry that people go into. So BTG has opened my eyes to what consulting is and how you can be an engineer in consulting, and how it is very similar to software engineering if you want it to be, but really consulting is about problem solving, and a lot of times the problems require engineering solutions. But at least like right now, I'm trying to decide for the summer between a straight like SWE internship as compared to like SWE consulting, technology consulting. So I don't know, it might open my eyes too much because I'm having trouble making the decision, but it's definitely like an interesting path to follow.
And as for me, I'm telecoms for National Society of Black Engineers, and a part of my job is to keep the National Society of Black Engineers website up to date. And I get to work with a little bit of front-end programming, a little bit of CSS and HTML. And I don't take any classes in those yet, but it's still like somewhat related to my major, and I think it's really cool.
Okay, like I feel like that's like a low key like thing that most people don't realize, that like for all the clubs and organizations that have a website, updating them, like keeping them current, editing them, like if you're a CS major like that, like someone has to do that. And like, I don't know, not all of them are as easy as like Wix or like WordPress for them. Yeah. For me, let's see, no, like CS orgs. So I was kind of like deep in the CS, by the time like I realized I wanted to apply to any orgs. But for freshman year, when I was a mechanical engineering student, the Formula race car design team, that was probably like the most influential and like awesome experience ever, like as a student back then who wants to be a mechanical engineer. I'm not like a car guy or anything of the such, but I think that like during like that semester, I essentially got to go from like start to finish, like, okay, here's a car, we need to make a supporting mounting bracket for the new like driver cabin, since they were trying to like reduce it to make the car small and aerodynamic. So like, researching, okay, well, how do you make this bracket? What are the different options for doing it? Okay, now CAD, all three options that you guys have to have. Use MATLAB in order to calculate the angle for this, because it's like too many variables to figure out. It's like plug and chug for how it's work. Okay, now we're gonna pick the best one. Then we're gonna get it sent out there. You need to come back, and I got to use all their machine milling at what used to be the fabrication lab. It's now the Baum Family Makerspace, which is like infinitely better than anything I had to work with. And then I was actually about to start learning how to weld before the pandemic kind of took over. But like that was just super awesome, because I feel like that's exactly what people do in industry. Like that's a from start to finish, mechanical engineering project. And so that was really cool for there. And I really did enjoy that experience. Staying in this vein, there is a really good question in the chat about research. And so as people want to research, they want to know, like, how do you go about research? How does it work? Is it interesting? Do you like it? Would you recommend it? You want to know all the research deets.
Okay, I can go. I like just started research like maybe like a month and a half ago. But I've been wanting to get into research for like a long time. It just didn't work for me like during the pandemic with everything being virtual. But I am a part of the haptics and virtual robot interaction lab. I think that's what it's called. But the research that I do is based on like social touch. So using robots to mimic human social touch. So the project that I just started working on is a pneumatic breathing pillow. So I'm working on getting a pillow to breathe in the same way that a human would, for it to be like soothing. So I like also just started, so I'm kind of like just getting through the ropes right now and learning about all the materials in my lab. But it's been a really awesome experience, and it was super easy for me to get involved with. I just emailed the head of the lab, and was like, "Hey, I'm interested in your lab. Here's my resume." And she was like, "Okay, let's meet." And I thought I was just gonna go in the meeting and be like, "Hey, this is what I like." And she like came, she was like, "Oh, here's the project I have for you." I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I'm getting started like right away. So I think research so far has been a really great experience. And I would really recommend that if you want to do it, to just reach out to like a lab that you're interested in. Because I know for me, I was a little bit nervous about like my previous experience, but my lab like lead and also a PhD student I've been working with have been like super helpful, like with just going, having meetings with me weekly to help me with my progress and helping me set a schedule and stuff. So I think research is definitely like, if you're interested in it, I would absolutely like recommend that you just try it out and see if you like it. But it's been a great experience for me so far.
That's probably like the most positive like detail in the research I've heard of. Yeah, research is like really cool. I personally haven't been involved in it, but I know it sounds dope. Another like the chat, I mean, you guys are like asking like the best questions, honestly. So this one is about like the collaborative environment. So they want to know, how have you found collaborative work with your peers? Like, do you feel that your peers value your input and trust your ideas, or have you felt ignored at times? And just kind of broaden, like, do you feel like overall Viterbi is a pretty collaborative place for you to do engineering?
I think so. I think the reputation for engineering schools isn't to be that collaborative, but I have not seen any of that sort here. Especially to like the CS courses that I've taken, it's really encouraged to work together, like to a certain extent, to like your problem sets and things like that. And then even through your coding assignments, like you can't copy each other's code and things like that, but really to think through things together, because working together really is like you're putting a bunch of smart minds together, and I don't know, it's really beneficial. Everyone wants to do like their own best work, but at the same time, like everybody recognizes that, I don't know, you kind of need other people to help throughout that process, and you can't do things alone. So it is really collaborative. Everyone's mostly willing to help out with each other or help each other out. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think it's collaborative as well. And not only in the classroom, we have the computer science building, and basically every CS student goes there whenever they have an assignment or a lab due. And it's crazy how people just like start talking to you while you're working there and ask you questions, and like you can ask questions as well, and people will give you like straight up helpful answers. So I definitely do think that it's collaborative.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that like I know like when I was a mechanical engineer, the intro to mechanical engineering class is low key a bit rough. It's like essentially a smattering of everything that like you'll learn in a couple of years, and so it is difficult. But I found like without any like resistance, I was just able to make a steady group of like 8 people to do my homework with, and like collaborations allow like the professors, like even for computer science class, which is very weird, for like our algorithm class and street math class, for intro to mechanical, whatever, they're like, just write the names of the people that you work with at the bottom, so we like know that you guys collaborate on and just copy off of each other. And like that works perfectly. Like we end up like, and man, we would just like go to like a lounge and like the McCarthy dorm, like they call it the fridge, it's like the bridge over there. It's like really cold in there, but you know, that's just why it's the fridge. And man, we just like crank out problem sets, and like we will like collaborate. Sometimes we go back to someone's room with a whiteboard and like draw problems. I mean, like talk about like full engineering madness, but like it was just so cool to like do that. And even in Sal, like I've definitely had like situation. I've been in Sal, like working on a code, and I'll like talk to someone about it, like, hey, like how are you solving this? Like we didn't look at each other's code, but we just like we're talking about it. And someone like walked over and they're like, oh yeah, I ran into that same problem. Like you guys are like actually need to like change the way you're looking at it. Like slightly vague because you don't collaborate on code like for specific reasons, just everywhere pretty much. But that like saved us like hours of headaches. So I don't know, people are just really willing to collaborate and help each other out when need be. So I really
Is that why it's called the fridge, Cameron? Because it's cold?
Oh,
No.
you didn't? Yes, it's the thermostat's broken. It's like
I could have swore that it was because it was a fake bridge.
Yeah, I'm jealous that you got to go there. I haven't been. I've been there. Pandemic freshman.
But you know what? I'm jealous about? I'm a pandemic sophomore, man. Where's Ilium? Look. So for those, just to update everyone, like McCarthy is the freshman honors college in the Village, and Ilium is the sophomore honors college in the Village. McCarthy is more like residence style with like private bathrooms for everyone, so it's not communal, and it's really nice. Ilium is apartment style living at the Village, so it's like very fresh, very modern. And so there are pros to con and living in both, and the grass is always green on the other side. But I'm mad I wasn't in Ilium, so. Like look at Javon Victoria like in the and soon it's
the orange walls.
The same wall. The same orange wall.
The orange walls. That's the con. That's the con.
That's the con. I wish I had an orange wall. I wish.
Yeah,
I
think it's kind of cool too.
I haven't heard that one before.
I've never heard anyone say that.
And then other dorms, they're different. Like I think in Kale and Arani, it's green, and Bonet and Nemorowski, all in the Village are blue. Like spice of life, if you will. I don't know. That's my thought process on
that
it.
Was the tangent. Let's get back on let's get back on track.
Let's get back to another great question so far. This one's really good. So the chat asked, how's the work-life balance as an engineering student, and what can you do on campus to de-stress when things get hard?
Here, I can talk about this one. I think like if you want free time, I think you can definitely get it. I think people like sometimes ask me like, what is the workload like? And I will be honest and say like it changes from week to week. Last week I had like 3 midterms and I was like, but like this week I'm like more chilling and stuff. But I think I've definitely have time to do like free time. I have picked up a couple of hobbies like since I've been on campus. I'm currently learning to skateboard, but I don't skateboard to campus because I'm scared of the people there and falling. But I try and practice every day. So you are able to do outside things. Also, USC has so many events going on, like at any time. Like sometimes I'll just walk in and there'll be like people doing yoga or something on like the lawn or something. So I think if you want like time to de-stress, there's like those opportunities that the university holds are things that clubs like the Black Student Assembly hold during their meetings. So I think there's definitely a lot of opportunities just to take time to do things outside of engineering and coursework.
I think the wise Cameron J. Cole once said that engineering is hard, and this is very true. Engineering does get hard, and like there are times, like Victoria said, where you'll have like a few midterms in a week and so forth. But like that was also me last week. But this week, like I have not really much work at this point. So besides our finals in a few weeks, but this is a little bit of a break for me. So it comes in ebbs and flows. But I mean, as Victoria was mentioning, like there are always stuff going on, whether it's clubs and things like that. You really have to focus on like your own time management, because just the way that college works is you have a lot of like free time, and free time as in like not in class. So like you can spend that time studying, you could spend that time doing your homework, or you could spend that time like chilling at someone's apartment and doing whatever. So it is up to you, and in terms of like what you can handle and finding out the way that you work best. But as said, like college is hard, engineering is hard, and like it is finding that balance between what you want to spend the time on, or what you can spend the time on.
I'm going to be spending my free time tomorrow at the season opener basketball game on Tuesday.
Yeah, like we're close. And, yeah.
Yeah. I will see you there.
It's tomorrow.
That's how you know it's free.
It's on Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
All right.
Or it's on Tuesday.
No, I'll be there then. I will be there.
Tuesday at 6. Be there, be square. any other de-stressing methods that you guys think are cool, or just in general?
The dogs that show up on campus that I'm never like around to see.
Never seen the dog.
Oh yes, like Bo, like this like USC's dog, which is like comes around. Tofu the corgi is great. Like they'll just be out in front of the auditorium and just like literally there for you to de-stress.
And I'm never there. I'm always
it's
busy
pretty
or
cool.
something.
It's during the day, man. Yeah, I will admit that there's like so many events. Like you gotta pick and choose. So like when I was here in the spring, like even though like pandemic, like it was pandemic, and I was in the spring, I was like dead. I was able to play pickup soccer at the village. Like I just walked in the village, like I was throwing a frisbee around some friends, and like this guy's like soccer ball came over and kicked it back, and he was like, "You want to play?" I'm like, "Yeah, dude." Like, and I don't play soccer. Like, just play pickup soccer. For Halloween, they had like free food trucks, free candy, and a screening of Nightmare Before Christmas. I had never felt like a kid again in so long. Like, it was great. It was so great. Yeah, and like I feel like in general, your classes like they are stressful. At least like like I think definitely that contributes to the de-stressing aspect of classes is that there is enough time in the day to get things. There are resources to help us. Like they're curved to help you, not to hurt you. So it's not as though like everyone can get an A, like or like one person can get an A, two people can get a B. Everyone gets C's, and like someone has to feel like they are not really in that business of like hurting you. So things do become manageable there, and I feel like that's always important there for it. Quick, I guess like another quick question towards the end. Like I know all of you guys have like I see we have different internships here. So I just wanted to know like how'd you guys go about getting those internships?
I attended the career fairs last year, and sort of like got to meet. I mean, both through like USC and through Viterbi. They were virtual, but you get the chance there to like meet recruiters and figure out what companies you're interested in, and then see if the recruiters are like also kind of interested in you, and sort of go from there. But developing those relationships really help out because some of the applications that I submitted last year, I was sort of like sent to the next round automatically because the recruiters like recognized me and stuff like that. They'd seen my resumes before, so the career fairs are a great resource, and they also seem to always be happening. But they are a great resource to get your name out there and to find a job.
Oh, I feel like before we go on, I kind of want to rapid fire some questions since we are getting the end of our time, and we do want to have enough time to wrap up and end on time. So we're gonna do a couple rapid fires for everyone really quickly. We do live in LA, and I think people want to know like what can you do off campus? Like how easy is it to get off campus? Do you go off often, and what opportunities do you find for like opportunities, academic or just fun off campus, like in around LA?
Yeah, I'm from LA, so but there's a lot of things to do here. I don't really go off campus that much just because there's a lot of things to do like on campus or around campus. But I know of them because I'm from here. And I don't know, a lot of people go to concerts and stuff, but also kind of easy to get to the beach if you just go on the metro, or you can go to downtown. So lots of things for students to do, like just based on whatever you're interested in.
I think one thing that I saw was what's it called? Oh, the Grove. The Grove's like this outdoor shopping mall type thing. They got a movie theater there and a bunch of like there's a farmers market with a bunch of like actually well priced food, which is hard to find in LA sometimes. But that's a cool like little Saturday trip kind of thing to go check out.
Yeah. Something I've done was axe throwing, which is like really random, but there's this axe throwing place in downtown LA, and I think you guys should definitely check it out. It's a
What's it
very
called?
fun experience.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the name? Yeah, what's the name?
I think if you look up axe throwing in your Google Maps, it should be the nearest one.
Did you take the metro down? Like, is it metro?
No, I split a lift with my roommates.
Okay. All right. That's
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's go. Let's go.
We're ready to take out my aggression. Because the Bulls in the win. But yeah, no, that's really cool. I'd say that like the metro being at USC is great. Like I'm from Chicago. LA is different, like really different. Public transportation is an interesting topic in the United States in general, but the metro being right there, it takes you straight to downtown and straight to Santa Monica. I just had like the freshman academy class that like all Viterbi freshmen are required to take when they come in. My class is actually an out of class activity to take everyone to Santa Monica. like they went out there and played like volleyball and frisbee. So like it's just right on the train right there. Downtown LA is really cool. Underrated stop is Culver City. I had a friend from Culver City. We went there. Great food. There's like a theater there, I think. Like open parks. There's like super cool, super great place. Like kind of on the up and coming, looks really nice. And it's also metro accessible. And I took the train to Long Beach as well. So like you can like, I don't know if you want to take the train that long. It's like an hour ride to Long Beach. But it was Victoria's not. It's a little long, but that was really cool. Yeah. So there's definitely ways to get out and go there around LA. And so we're kind of reaching the end. So I do want to ask our last question. And this kind of encapsulates a lot of things. So more or less the question is why USC? Like why did you pick USC? And just kind of like, and so why, not only why USC, but like what kept you here? Like what made you, want to stay and continue to stay at USC?
I can go ahead. I address one of the main drivers behind this earlier, and that was the fact that like there was the CSBA program, which is something that I didn't really see at any other college, and was combining all the interests that I had coming in. I was really confident in the major that I had and ended up sticking with it, but like that doesn't have to be the case. But I think part of the reason that finished my decision in coming here was being able to talk to students and talking to Black students, Black engineers. Because as we've sort of all mentioned earlier, like there were concerns coming in about being an engineer in general, but also being a Black student at a PWI, being a Black engineer, and talking to students that were already there, like upperclassmen, and seeing how things go, whether it was like, oh, how do you handle the course load, or just things like cultural questions on campus, like, hey, are there good barbershops around, things like that. Talking to students and about their experiences and the things that they've gone through, and any advice was really the final step in my process. And I had great conversations with all the students that I spoke to.
Yeah, I think for me, similar to Javon, for context, like I'm from maybe 15 minutes south of USC. Like I did not want to come here and be this close to my home. But I think what really sold me on USC was the community. And I remember I came during USC's huge admissions event for prospective students. And I went to all the presentations and stuff. But then afterwards, they had a booth with all the clubs. And I went up to talk to the people at the National Society of Black Engineers booth. And I just remember still to this day, how welcoming they were, but also how excited they were about USC and the opportunities that they had at USC, and also how excited they were about each other and their community and how supportive they were. And I think one thing, as I said earlier, that was important to me in college was finding a community that was supportive. And I saw that they really had that at USC. And I think that's the same thing that's kept me here, getting, to be part of clubs, but then also having people who wanted to, mentor me or network with me or support me in any way. That has really shown me how special USC is, and has made me really glad that I chose to come here and made me want to stay here.
I feel the same way as Victoria. I think the community is definitely what sold me on USC as well. I know that when you guys are looking at the numbers, the Black population here, it's 6-7%. It sounds so small, but then you get to campus and you go to these Black Student Assembly, National Society of Black Engineers meetings, and you see how strong and how close everyone is. And it does not feel like I'm disconnected from the community whatsoever. We have this ongoing joke. I think we say HBUSC or whatever, but it really does sometimes feel like a little Black college. So I think as long as you find your community, you can definitely make the best out of going to USC.
Yeah, HBUSC, it exists. I give you that. For me, my choosing USC just really came down to after getting in, and I think that obviously money was a big portion of that, scholarships. I think that additionally I wanted to move west, and I think that USC is a great place for that because this is where the industry is. the community, I'd say, is like very paralleled. I was really welcomed. And like, yeah, like the Black community, like it's here, it's real. I originally didn't want to go to an HBCU because I had the HBCU experience as a high schooler. So I was like, okay, well, I'm done. Let's try something different. But like, you kind of miss it and you kind of get it here. Like our tailgate, we had like Greek organizations like going down their line. And I mean, for a moment there, I was like, this is legit. Like they are here, like Black people are here. Alumni came back. Like, I don't know. It just felt like an alternate universe, to be honest. And so it was just a really great experience overall. And I think that like experiences like that are kind of why I decided to like, end up like, it just reaffirmed why I chose USC, because in a way, like there's just so many different micro communities within the larger USC, because it's a huge school. It's got 40,000 people, 20,000 of which are undergrads. But like, I still end up knowing like the same 5 people know everyone I also know. The community's super tight knit, which I don't know if you think that's annoying or not. It's a little annoying. It's kind of cool though. But yeah, that just like super small, like, you know, quote unquote private liberal arts school identity in a big school with all the resources and the fun and the D1 athletes, a big school, just, I don't know, it really solidified it for me. And so that's why I ultimately decided on USC. So awesome. This wraps up our Q&A portion. And now we'll go ahead and bring back up our slides to talk a little bit more about admissions, how to stay connected, and more with us. So the Viterbi admissions information session. So the Viterbi School is having different informational sessions hosted by Viterbi undergraduate admissions officers. These are great ways to answer a lot of the admissions related questions that we as students really don't know the answer to, because that is handled by an entirely different department. You can sign up for a visit at the link right there, which is viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit. One huge thing to note is that applications for scholarship consideration are due December 1st. There's like no extra option, just submit the application before December 1st and you automatically consider for scholarships. I would highly recommend doing this. This is something I know I did. I think everyone on the panel might have also done it as well, because I think so. It's great. You do no extra work and you get all the benefits. So highly recommend, make sure you get it in before December 1st. You've got a little less than a month now. So again, highly recommend really do that. Additionally, we do have a couple of organizations and resources out there if you guys like to follow along. The first of which, starting on the left, is the Black Student Assembly. They're at USC BSA on Instagram. You can hear about all their events and see, just kind of keep up what we're doing there. Next is the infamous USC NSBE. We are at NSBE_USC on Instagram. You can take a look at what we're doing. I know our conference was this past weekend for the LA and like West Coast Region 6 House region meeting, although there is a larger one in the spring, so you can keep up with us. The USC Center for Engineering Diversity, also known as CED, is also on Instagram. We are at USC_Viterbi_CED. This one's a little bit of a longer one, but you can see all the events they're doing. We do have really cool, like we have sponsors come out. We have different events and like hangouts and stuff. It's really cool. And finally, the USC Black Alumni Association is at USC BAA on Instagram. They're really cool. They offer scholarships. They offer mentoring. There's just a really cool program to meet people, and you can even find people who were USC and who are in the career that you're interested in. So they're definitely a good resource to have, and you can check them out as well. Next here, just some more resources about USC, Viterbi, and the university at large. If you're interested in hearing more about the student perspective of Viterbi students, you can check out the website viterbivoices.usc.edu. This is filled with tons of student blogs about what it's like to be a Viterbi student and an engineering student at USC in general. It's a great resource if you want to hear more about those nitty-gritty details about what it's like to be at USC. If you want to learn more about Viterbi, the academics and the admission and all that stuff right there, there is the website on the second line on the left side, which is viterbiundergrad.usc.edu. They have course plans and stats and outcomes, all the technical stuff you'd want. And finally, if you really want to explore our campus, I like campus. I think campus is great. It's like all in the same like brick scheme. They look like it's all built at the same time. I don't know how they do it. I don't want to do that. I just want to enjoy the magic. You can explore the campus at admission.usc.edu. Follow the link and you can schedule a virtual tour with them. And next, we'll take a look at our upcoming live chat calendar. So we do have a bunch of different live chats like these ones coming up. On the 14th of November is the LGBTQ plus students in engineering live chat. So you get to hear more about their perspective and what their experience is like being students at USC Viterbi. On the 21st of November is the All Things Viterbi live chat. So it's a much broader examination and Q&A of just what it's like to be an engineer at Viterbi. How's the experience? What's the life? USC culture. It's like literally anything goes, hence the name. And finally, on the 5th of December is the Do More in Engineering. So this is kind of the idea of Viterbi has engineering plus. So what do you do more than just engineering? So this live chat is talking about all those people as to what have they made that plus and what they do to really be a human and be engineer at Viterbi. So you can register to attend all these live chats, as well as view all past live chats at the link viterbi.live/chats. And again, that's viterbi.live/chats to register for all the upcoming live chats, as well as viewing the previous live chats. And that's it from us. So I want to thank you guys. Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. You can stay connected with us as well. We have our Viterbi Voices podcast. The podcast is on wherever you get your podcasts, so Spotify, Apple Music. I think there's something else on their SoundCloud as well. You can listen to us talk about anything and everything. There's some really cool episodes coming out, so I would highly recommend watching that. I know I listen to it when I'm like cleaning and doing stuff in the background, so it's a pretty good listen. The voices are smooth. Additionally, if you want to follow us on the socials, we are at Viterbi Student on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and TikTok. Yes, I know how that sounds, but trust me, the TikTok is actually funny. Javon is waving his hand. It is great. Like, I genuinely laugh at it. Like, I show it to my friends who are not engineers and they laugh. So I think it just goes to show you, if non-engineers are laughing at it, then just imagine how much you'll be laughing at it when you watch our videos. So I would highly recommend watching it. I know that was a full pitch. It's off the dome, but you should actually watch it. It's pretty funny. And additionally, I know we got a lot of questions tonight and we tried to answer as much of them. But if your question wasn't answered, you can email us at vstudent@usc.edu. Again, that's vstudent@usc.edu. You can send your question in there and a real live Viterbi student will answer your question, not a robot, because I think we can code those now, but a robot will not answer your question, a live student will. So make sure you email that if you have any more questions. Try to get them in, ask your questions so you can submit your app by December 1st. And with that, now we are done with the presentation. So again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time and have a good rest of your evening and into the week. And as always, thank you and fight on.
Awesome. And we're back. Thank you so much, Cameron. I was wondering, is there any like specific part of the live chat you think listeners should take away?
Yeah, I think that overall, one of the things I would take away from it is just the fact that regardless of that USC is such a big school and it's a big institution, it has all those resources, is that USC really creates such a small community and that you can really find your space in it. So regardless of if there are a lot of undergrads, and even though the engineering school is even smaller than that, you can really find your small space that makes you feel welcome and makes you feel like a little slice of home away from home and really makes USC feel like the place for you.
Mm.
You know, Cameron, we've done a few of these different types of talks, and I've always appreciated your candor and also the way that you help students understand like this was a leap for you coming from Chicago and trying to figure out how you were going to find home and dealing with where the right place was. So thank you again for sharing your thoughts. This last week, we had our big on-campus open house. And there were a lot of people kind of figuring out whether this was the right place for them. Did you see a lot of overlap in these two episodes as far as people kind of wondering whether this is the right place and some similar questions?
Actually, yes. I think that a lot of students really were curious about resources that they use to help them along when the going gets tough or when they're homesick or when they're just kind of struggling to find their place right after high school going into college. And the questions kept on coming up, and they were asking about both engineering resources for academics as well as just resources for social and emotional well-being. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those same questions students were asking in the live chat. So it's a really good parallel between the two events.
Do you ever find it interesting that people are asking you questions because they think you have it all figured out? Like you're definitely the one that's got it all. Like, do you feel like you're 100% better than you were coming out of high school? Is it just an ongoing kind of challenge?
It's definitely one of those situations where you're always improving. I don't have it figured out. I still don't. I don't think I ever will. I don't think any college student, any engineering student has it ever figured out. We always think we're drowning when it's really not that bad. But no, I'm not all the way there.
Yeah. And I think that's okay. I mean, Emily, do you have any thoughts on this idea of like what you were worried about then versus what you're worried about now?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of evolves, you know, like the things that I was worried about as a freshman, like the same tones like continue, but the actual fears and stuff are different because I think one of the most nerve-wracking days for me at USC was move-in day. I was just so nervous to meet everyone. I wanted to like have a good impression. And I felt like I would be kind of the odd one out because I'm from Colorado and I didn't know anyone going to USC coming in. But like literally within like 30 seconds of being at move-in day, I realized like no one else really knew anyone either. And we were all in it together. And Yeah, whatever you think that you're struggling with, like oddly, pretty much everyone else is struggling with as well, which is like oddly comforting for me.
Yeah.
Same here. It's as if everyone is also wanting to make friends and is due to the environment. And we're like, oh, wait, you want to make friends? I want to make friends. Let's be friends. And I think that's even more amplified coming back on campus now because we're all in the same situation.
Oh,
where
yeah.
we don't know how anything looks like. We're all just trying to get reestablished, but everyone's trying to get reestablished. So it just worked really well. We all collectively have the same fear. And because of that, we're working through it together, and it makes the process a whole lot easier.
It is interesting. Like I've noticed specifically at our open house last weekend where everyone was asking questions as if everything has been normal. Like, oh, tell me all the things you've done in the last 2 years. Like, what do you mean all the things we've done? Like nothing's been going on, man. Like everyone's, and it's interesting to watch you all, like you said, like have this readjustment period. Like we're all kind of in our freshman year again. Is that kind of what it feels like, that getting back to normal and finding that space?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think like the interesting position that like seniors and also juniors like Cameron are in are like, some of us are the oldest members of our clubs and have to like be like the only people who have experience in those things.
And it's barely a year as is.
Yeah. And like I went on a retreat for a club recently, and I'm like one of the oldest members, and people were saying how like they didn't know how the club was supposed to be run, and like there's only like there are only four of us who have like done trips together like as the club. And then by the end of the weekend, everyone was just saying like, I realized like I didn't think I had my stuff together, and they don't have their stuff together either. That's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah. Well, I thank you again, Cameron. I really appreciate this, and thank you all for also just sharing your thoughts and how this adjustment period happens. And yeah, I think we've talked about it on the podcast before, that the spoiler alert is that these adjustment periods just keep happening in your life as you move forward. It's just how you get better at processing those adjustment periods and rebounding and recognizing that you're like, oh no, I know how to do this. I know how to get through this. Speaking about the open house and also our podcast, Emily, I don't know if you know this, but so our last two episodes were our Dungeons and Dragons episodes, right? And so crazy, insane, great idea coming from, was it Paul's idea? Paul Lepe's idea?
Paul Lepe.
From Paul Lepe's idea. And Shannon did great work in building out that one shot. Is what we call it, right?
One shot, yeah.
One shot. First time ever at the open house last weekend, we had some very enthusiastic questions about whether there is a strong D&D community at the Viterbi School of Engineering. As far as I know, it's the first time we've ever gotten that question. And I was like, oh my God, the podcast is coming out tomorrow. Like they didn't know, because our open house was on Saturday. They had no idea. They had no idea, but a lot of our students didn't know it was coming out either, because you guys kind of, just a few of you did it. So the people got asked, like, yeah, I'm sure it's here, whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, how much do they know that? I hope that these family that was listening, I hope they heard the one shot, and I hope it passed muster, because I think they're kind of hardcore D&D.
Yeah, I feel like, okay, I don't know much about D&D, but Shannon and Jordan seem pretty legit, so I feel like they did a good job.
Cameron, is this in your world, D&D at all? Is this like, has this come into your mindset at all?
It has not. I know about D&D from watching The Big Bang Theory. I know my extent of D&D. I know it's a thing. I've like heard people about it. I've like seen like some people play it. That's about it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I know that it exists in the world as far as I've gotten into it, and I know that's a blind spot for me that I need to understand a little bit better. But I'm interested to learn more about it as it goes. So if this continues on, Emily, is this something that you've actually gained interest in now?
I've always had friends be like, you should come for D&D night, but it's a really big commitment, like when you join a campaign, it's like 3 hours every Thursday, for like 6 weeks. And it was always really intimidating, because I was like, what if I don't like it? And, people, when they play these like long campaigns, my friends will take days writing out their character and their backstory. And like,
oh my gosh,
it's just a really intimidating thing to get into. I feel like this is true about anything, like rock climbing, surfing, whatever. So I haven't had the opportunity to do it, but I feel like if I could do a one shot like Paul Lepe did, I feel like I'd be much more down, because it's a little bit less of a commitment.
I'm in with you. I don't want to do homework before having to do this type of thing. I mean, like I don't want.
But that's
I'm
what makes
lazy.
it fun.
I don't want to do the homework, but I'll go participate for an evening. That sounds fun. In general, how are you all been? I haven't had a chance to really catch up with either of you. I mean, Emily, it's senior year, right? I mean, we're almost halfway through your senior year. What's happening?
For me, it's just crunch time on my senior capstone project right now. So I haven't really talked about this much, but I'm designing a device to detect epilepsy in the brain during brain surgery. So we're like in prototype phase, and it's just like really crunch time to get everything working together. And hopefully, if everything goes to plan, like all of our little like things we've planned will like fit together and work perfectly. But I know that won't happen, so I'm ready to play defense.
Okay. And when is it supposed to be done?
So essentially, I have to have my first prototype, like first polished prototype, by the end of this semester finals, and then next semester I get the chance to just work. My team has a partnership with a doctor and professor at UCLA, so we're working with him, and we're going to do like more iterations of our prototype for next semester. So really the big push though is for this semester, and then next semester is kind of more fun, just like doing little tweaks.
Okay, great, cool. And Cameron, you're into your junior year, so you're not thinking all about next year so much. But how's your year going? How's this happening?
Year's been going interesting. Definitely doing a lot of new experiences. Put it like that. This is like past those like introductory CS courses. We're getting into the thick of it. But it's very fun. I always find the classes other people say are hard and they don't like. I like them. Like,
really?
I'm a math nerd, so like discrete math and like algorithm, people are like, those classes are so hard, and like those are the classes I actually do well in. So very interesting reverse. But yeah, overall, I'd say I'm just kind of getting my feet back into the swing of things. I like just joining more orgs on campus, and yeah, I think that I'm just happy to be back and looking forward to the new stuff that's going to be happening like in spring and next fall. So I don't know, I'm cautiously optimistic.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much. Again, Cameron, thanks for bringing this up to us, and hopefully the rest of your semester goes well. It's good to see you, and Emily, we will see each other again very soon. Thanks, y'all. Have a great time.